Hello everybody and welcome to this light novel review. In this video, I'm going to be talking about volume number 1 of Otherside Picnic. This light novel is written by Iori Miyazawa and it has artwork by shirakaba. It's an ongoing series in Japan. There will be 4 volumes as of December 2019. This one is officially released in English by J-Novel Club with a translation by Mccann. It's currently one of their digital-only titles. If you'd like to pick up your own copy, I do have links to a couple of retailers in the description down below. In Otherside Picnic, we have the story told in the first-person perspective from one of the main characters, who is Sorawo Kamikoshi. Now, she's a university student who honestly is not a big fan of people. In fact, she finds the whole noise and intrusion of personal space and everything of people to be rather vexing. And so when one day she stumbles across this entranceway to an other side, an other world that is blissfully quiet and appears to be human-free, she finds herself just overjoyed and wanting to visit this world and just enjoy the peace and the quiet. However, one night on her journey into the other side, she discovers that this world isn't just peaceful and beautiful and quiet, it's also incredibly dangerous. In fact, she finds her life in imminent danger, and she is saved by Toriko Nishina, who happens to find her just in her moment of peril and rescues her. Now, Toriko has been coming to the other side apparently a lot more than Sorawo. In fact, she's not just visiting, she's actually searching for the girl who introduced her to the other side, and that is this girl named Satsuki. So, for their own various reasons, Toriko and Sorawo decide to join forces and to explore this world together, thinking that it's probably safer to not go into it alone. As they adventure through this world, they start discovering that a lot of the things that are going on in this world, a lot of the dangers and a lot of the entities that they start to encounter seem to have some root in urban legend or true ghost stories. And so this world is filled with, well, lots of wonder and lots of danger. And of course the story is following these girls and their journeys through this other side. Iori Miyazawa is actually an ongoing light novelist. They have several volumes attached to their name. A search through LNDB shows that this seems to be their only ongoing series. Pretty much everything else that they've written have been one-shots, one of which is Side by Side Sleepers, which is also published by J-Novel Club. Now, this experience does show through in the writing. I found this book to be incredibly engaging. While the first story, I would say, that kind of introduces things is perhaps not quite as grab you as the rest of the book is grab you. I found it at times quite intense. In fact, this is not being really advertised as, say, a horror type novel, but there were definitely times that I found this one a lot creepier and a lot more crawl under your skin and tense and everything else than, say, an actual title like perhaps J-Novel Club's Aoni, which is being published and publicized as a horror series. The actual urban legends and true ghost stories and such that are in this first volume, I will say I was not familiar with, well, pretty much any of them. They are very Japan-centric. Now, if I had any complaint about this book, that would probably be it. That I may have felt a bit more of an emotional resonance with all of the things going on if I was more aware of those actual stories that these things were being based on. However, as I said, the author, because their imagery is so strong, because the story is so well told, and because these characters are interesting and realish in their feel, I found that after I got through sort of that first part, it really didn't matter anymore. These were just fantastical horrific type stories that these girls kept experiencing. The two main characters also do a lot to sell this book. Sorawo is an engaging character to read. She is, well, both of these characters, both Sorawo and Toriko, are both flawed characters. They both have these sort of difficult backstories. And it has essentially led to both of these girls being very guarded, and in some cases, you could say, feeling almost unworthy of friendship. And for Toriko, this has resulted in her latching on to Satsuki, who is the girl who introduced her to the other side. Because Satsuki was this first girl that Toriko saw as really a friend who valued Toriko, she is almost obsessed with this girl, to the point that it puts a strain on the relationship with Sorawo, because it makes it look like Toriko is selfish and self-centered, and she is unaware of how much she obsesses over Satsuki, how that makes Sorawo, who is starting to have this friendship, this, attachment to Toriko, how it makes her feel. It makes her feel lesser and everything else. But at the same time, Sorawo has not exactly been the most outgoing individual. And so even for her, she has a habit of blurting out things without really taking a moment to consider another person's feelings. She is probably bothered and upset by things that really, if she gave it some more thought, she probably wouldn't be as harsh. But her natural inclination is to go to the negative. And there are like I said, both of these girls do have kind of a backstory that sort of gives you more of an idea of why they are this way. It isn't just some random negative character aspect. But I like the fact that there was this conflict between the two girls. As much as there was a friendship building, as much as there's a very, very soft Yuri undertone to some of it, for the most part, these are girls that are building a friendship. And at the same time they're building a friendship, they are bashing heads a little bit and fighting against one another because of both their differences, but probably even more so in terms of their similarities. So you have this really great imagery, these very sort of tense stories and moments that are going on in this book, and then you have these also tense character moments, and these character moments that are both nice to watch, but also at the same time are tense as well, because there is a bit of a tension between these two girls as they try to figure each other out and just whether they want to keep coming to this other world and why they may want to keep coming to this other world. Another thing that I really liked about this book is that it also is not just about these two girls. I mean, yes, it certainly is, but they are not the only human beings who have found the other side. And their interactions, again, with other people that they find, people that they don't know, strangers and so forth, and seeing how this other side has affected those people and what are those people's motivations for being in this other side or, continually coming back to the other side. Those were some really great stories too. So there is a lot going on that at certain points in the story, it isn't just even about the tension between Toriko and Sorawo and the entities that inhabit the other side, but also between them and the humans that they come across in this other side. Then you mix in all the whatever you want to call these things that inhabit this world, and it makes for some really good storytelling and some very solid moments that, wow, I really found myself drawn in, and that I couldn't put it down once I sort of got really into the meat of what was going on. I also appreciated that the author took some time to even pay attention to the idea that, these were smart characters. They were thinking about, how do we even dress to go to this other world? What kind of supplies do we need to prepare? And these are girls that actually handle firearms in this book, which was kind of cool too, that they even thought to that point of, some of this stuff is dangerous. We need to be armed. So these girls that are prepared to basically rescue themselves. And, there are certainly instances in the book where that is exactly what they are forced to do. And even though the book is structured very much that you have each chapter represents a journey into the other world and a particular thing that they face or what have you, I even found that even though you completed that story, that little contained chapter, I still felt myself absolutely pulled forward, that I wanted to know what their next adventure was. I wanted to know how they were going to find their way into the other side again, and then ultimately find their way out, because there are times in this book where finding your way out is the goal. All in all, this was, I thought, a really entertaining book. It certainly has that isekai-ish flavor because, of course, they're going to an other world, but it is so alien and so non-human that it just feels completely different than any other type of isekai. And really, the journey isn't about being summoned to another world to save the world or defeat the demon lord or anything like that. It is literally about girls traveling to this other side to try and find someone, to try and explore, to try and find something in themselves. It's very, very different in a lot of ways, but because of how this world is set up, and because the author actually starts going into about how these entities communicate and what, perhaps there is that question, this ambiguity of, does this world and its inhabitants, does it influence our ghost stories and our urban legends, or are we the ones who are influencing this world and making it mirror our ghost stories? And it is a very cool idea, and like I said, it is left a little bit ambiguous just what exactly is going on in this world. And so overall, I found this really, really fun. I found it a really cool. As I said, the imagery was just amazing. I enjoyed these characters. I enjoyed their interactions. I liked the fact that there was tension between them, that it wasn't all just like lovey-dovey, kumbaya, camaraderie kind of thing. I liked that they were forced in a lot of situations to work together and to trust each other, even if they had been arguing or not getting along. There was a lot of really great stuff I felt in this book. It was one of the more refreshing titles that I have read in some time. In fact, it's one of the first titles that I gave a 5 stars to on Goodreads in a while. I can't even remember the last time I gave a book 5 stars. I don't know if I have this year. So I really, really enjoyed this one. Like I said, it just had a ton of really great elements. I want to give a little shout out to the artwork in this one by shirakaba, and I've been doing this for any sort of new light novels that I read. This one does not have a lot of artwork. It doesn't have any color artwork at the very beginning of the book, and it probably only has maybe one black and white illustration for each of the chapters. Sometimes I think there's the odd chapter that doesn't have anything. So there's not a lot of them, but man, I'm going to put like 1 or 2 of them here. And in particular, there's this one that it's black and white, like grayscale and stuff, but I love the way that color, like it's not color, like the light and the dark and the shadow and everything else plays out in this. The artwork was just, I thought, really great, especially given the nature of the story. I thought it matched it very, very well. As I said, probably my only disappointment was that there wasn't more of it. I don't know whether it increases in future volumes or not, but I certainly appreciated what there was in this volume. I got to give a shout out to Sean Mccann, who's the translator on this one. I have to think that the translation and the editing, I'm not sure who edited this, I should have put that in there, but that they all worked so well together that you had to have, I think, a good base story, but to make this imagery work so well and to create that tension and everything else, I mean, you really need some good translation work and some good editing, which obviously this book had, because there was not a moment that I really felt myself taken out of it by the way that the language was expressed or that the way that the story was being told. In this video, I want to say a special thanks to Yoon, Kyle Block, Renzaz, Cine, and Drone205 for their support on Patreon, as well as the support of all of my patrons who their continued help allows me to buy books so I can do reviews like this one on the channel, as well as helping to pay for additional hosting for the Light Novel Podcast so we can be on as many platforms as possible. So for my next review, I'm going to be sticking with J-Novel Club and also reading something new, and we're going to hang out with some more strong female characters. So that's going to be volume number 1 of Sexiled. My sexist party leader kicked me out, so I teamed up with a mythical sorceress. That'll be my next review. In the meantime, thanks for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.